The transmission arrived at exactly 2:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, cutting through every satellite, every communication network, every screen on Earth like a knife through paper. The signal was so powerful it overrode military encryption, bypassed firewalls, and made itself known to every connected device on the planet. The voice that spoke was not human. It carried the weight of 1,000 different languages, a synthesized amalgamation of every major galactic tongue, translated into perfect English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, and dozens of other Earth languages simultaneously. People of Earth. The voice began, cold and mechanical, yet somehow alive with authority. This is the Galactic Council of Unified Systems. Your planet has been evaluated and found lacking in the fundamental requirements for continued autonomous existence. In the Situation Room beneath the Pentagon, Admiral Chen Vasquez didn't even look up from her coffee. She'd been waiting for this call for 37 years. Around the world, similar scenes played out in bunkers, command centers, and secret facilities. Leaders who should have been panicking were instead checking their watches with the satisfaction of people whose long-awaited appointment had finally arrived. The alien voice continued its pronouncement with the bureaucratic efficiency of a tax collection notice. Your species demonstrates excessive aggression, territorial instincts incompatible with galactic harmony, and a disturbing tendency toward independent technological development. The Council has voted. Earth will submit to immediate occupation and species rehabilitation or face complete sterilization. Dr. Alina Kowalski, head of the classified Starfall project, watched the transmission from her laboratory buried 2 miles beneath the Swiss Alps. Her fingers danced across holographic displays showing energy readings that would have made Einstein weep. She allowed herself a small smile. The readings were perfect. Every hidden facility around the globe was showing green across the board. You have 72 standard hours to broadcast your unconditional surrender, the voice declared. Any attempt at resistance will be met with overwhelming force. The Galactic Council commands fleets from 47 different species. Your primitive weapons and divided nations cannot hope to oppose us. The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving Earth in what the aliens surely expected to be terrified silence. Instead, Admiral Vasquez picked up her secure phone and dialed a number that had been waiting to be called for decades. The voice that answered was crisp, professional, and utterly calm. Starfall Command, this is Admiral Vasquez. Authorization code, Broken Arrow 77 Alpha. The long wait is over. Initiate protocol, homecoming. Across the globe, similar calls were being made. Not to world leaders, not to the United Nations, but to facilities that didn't officially exist, to people who had trained their entire lives for this moment, to technologies that had been developed in the deepest secrecy while the world above went about its daily business in a converted missile silo in Montana. Commander Sarah Mitchell felt the familiar thrum of engines that had been silent for years beginning their startup sequence. The ships they powered didn't appear on any registry, didn't follow any known design principles, and incorporated technology that humanity supposedly didn't possess. The truth was that Earth had been preparing for this day since 1987, when a damaged alien probe had been recovered from the ocean floor near the Mariana Trench. The probe hadn't crashed. It had been sent deliberately by a faction within the galaxy that believed humanity deserved a warning about what was coming. The message had been simple. They will come for you when you develop faster-than-light communication. Be ready. Humanity had taken that warning to heart with the grim determination that had seen the species through ice ages, plagues, and world wars. Nations that couldn't agree on trade policies had secretly coordinated the most massive military build-up in human history. Resources that officially went to space exploration, medical research, and environmental protection had instead been funneled into a project so classified that most government officials didn't know it existed. They called it Project Starfall, and its purpose was simple: to ensure that when the galaxy finally noticed humanity, they would regret it. Marcus Ghost Thompson, a man whose official military record listed him as killed in action 15 years ago, received his activation order while sitting in a diner in Nebraska. To anyone watching, he appeared to be a retired trucker enjoying pie and coffee. In reality, he was one of 300 enhanced soldiers who had undergone modifications that pushed human capability beyond what should have been possible. His phone vibrated once. He glanced at the message, smiled, and left exact change on the table. By the time he reached his truck, his skin had already begun to change color, adapting to his surroundings like a chameleon. The modifications weren't just cosmetic. His bones were reinforced with alien metals, his reflexes enhanced beyond human norms, his mind linked to a tactical network that spanned the globe. He wasn't alone. Around the world, similar soldiers were emerging from lives of carefully maintained cover. They had been teachers, mechanics, farmers, and accountants. Now they were Earth's hidden guardians, finally called to serve their true purpose. The Galactic Council had expected 72 hours of desperate preparation, of nations bickering over surrender terms, of populations fleeing in panic. Instead, they detected massive energy signatures blooming across Earth's surface like flowers in spring. Their long-range sensors, designed to monitor primitive civilizations, suddenly registered technology that shouldn't have existed. The Council's chief war strategist studied the readings from the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion. His scaled features, which had remained impassive through the conquest of 17 worlds, showed the first flickers of concern. These readings are impossible, he informed the Council through the neural link that connected all command ships. They show energy outputs consistent with Level 7 civilization technology. Earth was classified as barely Level 2. The response came back immediately from the Council chambers. Sensor error. Recalibrate and confirm. Prepare for standard occupation. Protocol. But Zelphus had not survived for centuries of warfare by ignoring impossible readings. He ordered deep scans of Earth's major population centers and felt his certainty crumble as the data flooded in. Hidden beneath New York was a fusion reactor that could power half the galaxy. Under London, a manufacturing complex was producing ships at a rate that should have required the resources of an entire star system. In the middle of the Sahara Desert, a weapon that registered as a Class 9 planet killer was powering up. Council command, he transmitted urgently, I recommend immediate withdrawal for strategic assessment. Earth is not what we believed it to be. The response was swift and dismissive. Impossible. Maintain course. The primitive humans are attempting to bluff. Prepare for planetary bombardment if they do not surrender within the designated time frame. Zolthis closed his communication link and stared at Earth growing larger in his viewscreen. In all his centuries of conquest, he had learned to trust his instincts, and right now, every instinct was screaming that they were flying into a trap on Earth. Admiral Vasquez stood in the newly activated command center of Starfall Base, watching as decades of preparation finally came online. The massive chamber hummed with energy from technologies that human scientists had reverse engineered, improved upon, and in many cases surpassed. Dr. Kowalski appeared on the main screen from her facility in Switzerland. All systems are green. Admiral, the quantum tunneling network is stable. Our ships are ready for deployment. Confirmed, came another voice from a facility in Australia. Ground-based defenses are armed and targeted. We have clean shots on all incoming vessels. Similar reports flooded in from installations across the globe. Humanity's hidden infrastructure was fully operational, revealing a military capability that dwarfed anything the surface world had ever imagined. Asterisk. Admiral Vasquez nodded with satisfaction. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been preparing for this moment for 37 years. Today, we show the galaxy that Earth is not some primitive world to be conquered. Today, we show them what happens when they threaten humanity. She paused, looking around at the faces of people who had dedicated their lives to this moment. Send the response transmission. The message that went out to the Galactic Council was brief, transmitted on frequencies that should have been impossible for humans to access. But impossibility had become humanity's specialty. Galactic Council, Admiral Vasquez's voice carried clearly across space. This is Admiral Chen Vasquez, commanding the Terran Defense Coalition. Your ultimatum has been received and rejected. We invite you to try and take our world. We've been waiting for you. The transmission ended, and across Earth's hidden facilities, weapons that had never been fired began to track their targets. Ships that had never flown prepared for launch. Soldiers who had trained their entire lives for war that might never come suddenly knew their moment had arrived. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their hidden preparations. It was their smile when someone finally gave them a good reason to fight. Asterisk. The hunt begins. The first shot fired in the war between Earth and the galaxy wasn't a weapon at all. It was a question transmitted directly into the neural networks of the approaching Galactic Council fleet. Tell us, the message said in perfect Zalthius standard battle language. How does it feel to be the prey? Zalthius felt his scales ripple with something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Genuine fear. The humans had just demonstrated they could breach military-grade neural shielding, access classified command frequencies, and speak languages they shouldn't have known existed. But the real shock came 30 seconds later, when Earth's first ship appeared. It materialized without warning in the middle of the Galactic Council formation, having somehow bypassed every sensor, every early warning system, every detection grid that protected the most advanced fleet in known space. The ship itself was an impossibility, a sleek amalgamation of human engineering and alien technology that moved through space like a living thing. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the TDF Prometheus, humanity's first true starship, watching alien vessels scramble to respond to her presence. Her crew was small, just 12 people, but each one represented decades of training and enhancement that pushed human capability to its absolute limits. Weapons lock confirmed on the flagship, reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant James Park, whose cybernetic implants allowed him to process targeting data faster than most ship computers. Range, optimal. Target, acquired. Shall I send our regards? Sarah smiled the same smile that had been appearing on human faces across Earth since the ultimatum arrived. Fire. The Prometheus unleashed a weapon that the galaxy had never seen before. It wasn't an energy beam or a kinetic projectile. It was something far more insidious, a virus designed to infiltrate and corrupt alien computer systems, turning their own technology against them. The effect was immediate and devastating. Half the Galactic Council's ships suddenly found their weapons systems firing randomly, their navigation computers routing them into collision courses, their life support systems cycling between extremes of heat and cold. Impossible, Zelthius roared as his flagship's systems turned against him. No primitive species could develop such technology. That's when the second impossibility occurred. The human ships spoke directly to him, not through communication arrays, but directly into his mind through the same neural link that connected him to the Council command structure. Primitive. Sarah Mitchell's voice echoed in his consciousness like ice water. We've been studying your technology for 37 years. We've improved it. We've weaponized it. And now we're going to show you what happens when you threaten our home. The Prometheus vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving chaos in its wake. But the psychological damage was already done. The Galactic Council's fleet, representing the combined military might of 47 different species, had just been humiliated by a single human vessel. Back on Earth, the real war was just beginning. In cities around the world, people who had lived ordinary lives for decades suddenly revealed they had been preparing for this moment all along. Jake Wrench Rodriguez owned a small auto repair shop in Detroit. To his neighbors, he was just a friendly mechanic who could fix anything with an engine. They had no idea that his garage was connected to a tunnel network that stretched for miles, that his tools included weapons that could disable alien technology, or that he had been training a civilian resistance network for 20 years. When the first alien scout ships appeared over major cities, expecting to find terrified populations ready to surrender, they instead found empty streets and deadly silence. The humans hadn't fled. They had gone underground, literally and figuratively, activating a resistance network so extensive that it turned entire cities into deadly mazes. The scout ships sent down reconnaissance teams, expecting easy reconnaissance of a defeated population. Instead, they found themselves hunted through urban environments where every building could hide enemies, every storm drain could conceal weapons, and every seemingly harmless civilian could be a trained killer. Marcus Ghost Thompson materialized behind an alien patrol in downtown Chicago, moving with inhuman speed and silence. His enhanced reflexes allowed him to move faster than their sensors could track, while his tactical implants gave him real-time information about their equipment, weaknesses, and planned movements. The aliens were Kruthak warriors, 7 feet tall, with natural armor and weapons that could melt steel. They had conquered dozens of worlds without losing a single soldier to primitive species. They lasted exactly 43 seconds against a human who had been modified specifically to hunt their kind. Ghost's after-action report was typical of hundreds being filed around the world, targets eliminated, no human casualties, equipment captured for analysis. Recommend increased confidence in Phase 2 operations. Phase 2 was already underway in space, where humanity's hidden fleet was beginning to reveal itself. The ships didn't emerge from Earth's surface, where alien sensors might have detected them. Instead, they had been waiting in the asteroid belt, disguised as mining equipment, powered down and silent for years. Dr. Elena Kowalski activated them with a single command from her laboratory in Switzerland. Across the solar system, what the aliens had catalogued as abandoned mining rigs suddenly came to life, revealing themselves as warships that combined human innovation with technology reverse-engineered from that first alien probe. The fleet was small by galactic standards, just 37 ships. But each one incorporated design principles that the galaxy's military minds had never encountered. They moved in patterns that defied conventional tactics, attacked from angles that shouldn't have been possible, and employed weapons that turned the enemy's own strengths against them. Captain Lisa Chen, commanding the TDF Defiance, watched her tactical display as Galactic Council reinforcements arrived in system. 200 ships, enough firepower to crack planets, moving in perfect formation with the confidence of warriors who had never known defeat. Analysis complete, her AI reported in a voice that sounded almost excited. Enemy formation follows Standard Battle Protocol 7. Countermeasures prepared. Psychological warfare package ready for deployment. Lisa smiled, and it was the smile of a predator who had found perfect prey. Deploy the package. Let's show. Then what happens when you bring conventional warfare to a knife fight? The psychological warfare package was perhaps humanity's most cruel innovation. It didn't attack alien ships or weapons. Instead, it attacked their confidence, their certainty, their fundamental understanding of how warfare should work. Suddenly, Galactic Council ships found themselves receiving communications from human vessels that didn't appear on any sensor. They heard voices speaking their own languages, knowing their names, describing their tactical decisions before they made them. Worse, they began receiving messages supposedly from their own command structures, ordering them to fire on each other. The result was chaos. Ships that had fought together for centuries began to doubt their orders, their sensors, their own perceptions. The tight formations that were the hallmark of Galactic Council warfare began to break apart as commanders lost faith in their ability to distinguish between friend and enemy. Zelphius watched his fleet disintegrate around him and finally understood the truth that would reshape galactic politics forever. Humanity wasn't a primitive species that had gotten lucky. They were apex predators who had been hiding their true nature until someone was foolish enough to threaten them. All ships, he broadcast on emergency frequencies, withdraw immediately, fall back to minimum safe distance. Do not engage human forces without direct authorization from the Council. But it was too late. Humanity had tasted blood, and they were enjoying the hunt. On Earth, Admiral Vasquez stood in her command center, watching real-time reports flood in from around the world and across the solar system. Human casualties were minimal. Alien casualties were mounting rapidly. Most importantly, the psychological impact was exactly what they had hoped for. Admiral Dr. Kowalski's voice came through the communication system. We're receiving surrender requests from several alien ships. They're offering to defect to our side. Vasquez nodded with satisfaction. Accept all surrenders. Treat defectors well. We want word to spread through the galaxy that humans are reasonable victors for those who choose to join us, but absolute nightmares for those who choose to fight us. The strategy was working perfectly. Humanity had spent 37 years, not just preparing for war, but studying galactic psychology, politics, and culture. They knew that the galaxy's various species were held together by fear of the Council's military supremacy. If that supremacy could be broken, the entire galactic order would collapse. Jake Rodriguez emerged from the Detroit tunnel system with a squad of civilian fighters, dragging captured alien equipment behind them. The gear would be reverse-engineered within hours, its secrets added to humanity's growing technological advantages. Any word from the other cities? Asked Maria Santos, a former school teacher who now commanded a resistance cell of 200 people. Jake grinned, checking his communication device. New York reports complete grid control. La has air superiority. Moscow captured 3 intact ships. The aliens are learning what every invader in human history has learned the hard way. What's that? We're really good at making people regret attacking our home. As Earth's night cycle began, the planet that the Galactic Council had planned to conquer in a matter of hours was instead a fortress from which humanity launched attacks across the solar system. The species they had dismissed as primitive was revealing itself to be something far more dangerous, intelligent, ruthless, and absolutely united in their determination to make the galaxy pay for threatening them. In space, Commander Sarah Mitchell prepared her ship for the next phase of operations. The defensive war was over. Now came something far more terrifying for the galaxy's established powers. Humanity was going on the offensive. The message she transmitted to Admiral Vasquez was brief but loaded with implications. Phase 2 complete. Requests permission to begin Phase 3. Extended operations beyond the solar system. The response came back immediately. Permission granted. Show the galaxy what happens when they mistake human patience for human weakness. Make them remember why Earth smiled when they declared war. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their unity. It was their absolute refusal to forgive or forget when someone threatened everything they loved. The war had begun with alien ultimatums and human smiles. It would end with alien surrender and human victory. The only question was how much of the galaxy would be left standing when humanity decided they had made their point. Asterisk.